Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 6 of Italeri as Operations of a Bayonet. Scale is 1 to 72. Now, as you can tell by the box graphic, this is a diorama build log, and in part 6 we're going to be carrying off where I left off in part 5, and that's building the M48 Patton tank. So I'm at the turret stage on the build, so let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So to begin with, I'm placing on some of the small little parts onto the turret. So starting off with the top hatch. Carrying on with, I think it's a smoke grenade launcher, and there's a little fuel tank canister as well as the guardrail as well to go on. This rail, the nature of the shape is quite difficult to fit. There's no location points on the turret for you, so you have to use your best judgment where it goes. The rear guard or compartment, you have to make this up. There's two side components to the main back piece, and it just sits on at an angle. I've already fitted one there, as you can see. They were a little bit difficult to fit just because of the angle that they are sitting at. And that's all really. Yeah, it's just an awkward shape for it to get the right connection joined up. So as you can see there, I've got the rest of the components ready to go on. So first of all, I'm making up the little forward front gun. That does sit on its own little rotating cloth. You know, you can have these moving it if you wish, but mine's a static display, so I'm not having anything move. Apart from the barrels, actually, I should say, because when I place it into the diorama, I'm not sure what angle I want these barrels to be at, so I've left them with movement, but all the rest I've made into a complete static model. I had to take the side rail off that you see on the mat there before placing the larger one on. It was just because it kept on getting in the way, and I was a bit afraid that I might snap it, so I took it off before it set, and it made it easier to fit the back piece. So if I'd done this kit again, I would make sure it'd fit the back piece first. And I'll just pop it back on. It was no drama. It was well before it was ready to set and onto the turret. So it was just a matter of getting the sequence right, putting these parts on. But as you can see there, the last piece to go on is the top gun. You can see the connection area where the rotating collar goes, and as I said, you can have this in free movement if you wish. So that's everything that's assembled on the tank now, apart from placing on the turret, of course. So it's time now to give it the first coat of paint. And for this, I'm using Rebel Aquacolor 46 Native Olive. Now it's going to take about 2, possibly 3 coats for this. Not much really at all. When I'm painting tanks, I don't really worry about so much the direction that my brush is taking. Sometimes it's helpful while painting on a tank or an armoured vehicle to paint in different directions, because if you look at the metal of a tank, it's generally pitted, and sometimes the paint can actually look a bit thick. So bear that in mind when you're painting. It's not like if you're painting an aircraft or a ship, for instance, you want it all painted in one direction, or a car. These armoured vehicles can take a more robust, haphazard paint. I then switched to Rebel Aquacolor 08 Matte Black, and these are for the little windows, the little viewing windows on the tank. Now the paint's dry, it's time to fit the turret, and as you suspect, the turret just pops in. It went in very nicely. There's the connection points for this are nice and smooth, and the rotation of the turret is quite good. It doesn't interfere with any of the furniture on the tank. Now this opening has a cover on it, but the kit gives you a clear plastic square for it. Now I've actually misplaced this, so what I've done is I've taken an offcut of plastic card, and I'm just going to lay it on top of that to close it off. But first I'm just cleaning off the contact points. Now this little bit of plasticard was pre-painted from an earlier project, so I'm using that, and the reason for that is I won't have to prime it, take it away, go through all the priming process because it's already got the paint on it. I left it for a good few hours until it completely dried, and now I'm just taking my hobby knife and going around the edges, taking off any excess, so it's keeping in with the contours of the actual box itself. And then I'll just sand off any rough areas. And then once I'm happy with the shape of it, I'll just paint the part the same colour of the tank. It's time for a bit of a run, so I'm switching over to Tamiya's Withering Master Series B, and I'm using the soot component, and I've got my brush sharpener brush, and I'm just going over the exhaust area. I'm going quite heavily over the exhaust area itself and lightly over the surrounding area. And then I'll just make some random scuff marks over the body. Now it's time to put on the decals. There isn't actually that many decals to put on. They're going in the normal way, soften them with warm water, then using the micro set for my decal solution. Now the eagle eye among you might notice I haven't varnished this yet. Now generally when you place decals on, you always varnish before you put your decals on. This helps the decals go better and stops any silvering. Now I'm well aware that I may well get a bit of silvering when I'm putting on the decals here, but I'm okay with that because it's going to add to the weathering pattern. So I've deliberately left off the varnish at this stage. And I'm also in two minds whether I'm going to varnish it at all, but at this stage it's deliberate not varnishing it, just in case anyone is wondering, oh, why is he putting the decals on without varnishing? That is the reason. One of the main decals that are going on is the area that I put the little plasticard on. It just sits in the front. I'm not sure what this part of the tank is actually for. And I was in two minds whether to put this decal on or not, because it's white and it doesn't really it's not really conducive to a camouflage, especially in a war setting. So I may paint this over later on at the stage when I put this into the diorama itself, but at the moment I'll just place it on. The decals themselves went on nicely. I didn't have any issues with breaking or anything like that. They went on very smoothly. Next is to make the aerial. So I've got a bit of the offcut sprue here, and I'm just melting a section of it down and then pulling it taut to create the aerial. And once I stretch the bit of sprue, I'm using Rivet Acrylic 08 matte black to paint it. Now you may have noticed the decals are not in the tank. This is because I'm showing this part slightly out of sequence. I thought it'd be better just to show the aerial right at the end instead of a little bit through the build. In fact, I made this just before I started the decals. Now to put on the aerial, I just made a tiny little incision where the aerial mounts are before placing them in, and I just placed them in with a little bit of normal cement. And while I'm doing that, this is where I'll end part 6. And this also completes the M48 build as well as much as I will work on it until I place it into the diorama. A little reveal right at the end of this so you can see it all built. The tank itself built really nicely, apart from the tracks. I didn't like the tracks, but apart from that, it was a good little build. I preferred the Huey, the helicopter, to this one, but saying that, if you get this kit separately, it's quite a nice little build. In fact, if you haven't built a tank before, this is not a bad little build to cut your teeth on. So I would recommend this tank if you can get it separately for any skill level. No one should have any problems building this. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, and please do so, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build but on my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. So next up is the little final reveal. I hope you enjoyed this little part, and I'll see you on the next part of the build. Thank you all very much for watching. Bye for now.